I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this 12th meeting of the Board of Directors for 2025 on this somewhat rainy evening, Tuesday, June 17th, here at 6 p.m. at City Hall. We'll begin with an invocation from Father George Sanders with St. John's Baptist Catholic Church. All rise.
Let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, as we gather together, we're so thankful for your great love that's shown each one of us. We thank you, Father, that you called us in your gospel to always remember each and every person that you have put within our path. We know, Father, your great love is shown as we show our love to the weakest and those who are in trouble and those that are hurting, the outcasts, the ones that have no voice. You've always called us to serve the least among us, and that is what your love is, Heavenly Father. We know that your love is always, it's never discriminatory, it never chooses, it loves fully and freely each and every person. So this day we pray as we come together to contemplate what is best for our city. We pray, Father, your Holy Spirit would so inspire our hearts that we would have that great love that you have for every person. Help us to remember that on the last days we stand before you, it will not be the great and powerful that we will give witness to. You will ask us, did we visit the poor? Did we go to the prisons? Did we help those that are sick? Did we help those that are hungry or in need of clothing? Help us, Father, to always remember that it is you who have called us to protect and to guard and support the weakest among us. And our love for you is shown by our love for the weakest. So this day we pray that you give us wisdom, inspire us in all that we do. Help us to always put your love first. This we ask, trusting in Christ your Son, our Lord. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday. Here. Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia. Here. Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions to the agenda, or items to be moved from the consent agenda to new business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Director Trustee, second by Director Garcia. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. Consider approval of the minutes of the regularly held meeting of June 3rd, 2025. Are there additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. We have a rain out here. We got had a rain out on Saturday, and Mr. Willie Wade, will you please come forward so I can read the proclamation for Juneteenth, the National Independence Day, City of Hot Springs proclamation. Whereas on June 19th, 1865, the announcement of General Order Number 3 by Union Army General Gordon Granger proclaimed freedom for enslaved people in Texas. Nearly 9 decades after our nation's founding and more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, enslaved Americans in Texas finally received word that they were free from bondage. As those who were formerly enslaved were recognized for the first time as citizens, Black Americans came to commemorate Juneteenth with celebrations across the country, building new lives and new tradition that we honor today. In its celebration of freedom, Juneteenth is the day that all Americans should recognize. And whereas on June 17, 2021, President Joseph Biden signed into law what is now known as Juneteenth National Independence Day, where we celebrate the end of slavery for African Americans from the bondage of former oppressors and bringing an end to the dark chapter in American history. And whereas Juneteenth is a day of profound weight and power, a day in which we remember the moral stain and terrible toil of slavery in our country, what has long been called America's America's original sin, the long legacy of systemic racism, inequality, and inhumanity. And whereas with the end of slavery, we continue to fight for equality and justice while battling racism and injustice in this country. But it is this day that reminds us all of our incredible capacity to heal, hope, and emerge from our darkest moments with purpose and resolve. On Juneteenth, we recommit ourselves to the work of equity, equality, and justice. We celebrate the centuries of struggle, courage, and hope that have brought us to this time of progress and possibility. That work has been led throughout history by abolitionists and educators, civil rights advocates and lawyers, courageous activists and trade unionists, public officials, and everyday Americans who have helped make real the ideals of our founding documents of liberty and justice for all. Now, therefore, I, Pat McKay, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the entire Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2025 as Juneteenth National Independence Day in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and urge all citizens of Hot Springs to take cognizance of this event and to participate fittingly in its observance, and encourage all citizens to become more aware of the significance of this celebration, history, and heritage of our nation and city. And witness wherever I hear and to set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be affixed on this 14th day of June in the year of our Lord 2025. I'm going to present this to Willie Wade.
On behalf of the MLK Committee and the different makers of Hot Springs and the community organizations that continue to allow Juneteenth celebration to exist, I want to extend a welcome and a thank you to the City of Hot Springs, to our mayor, city manager, and to the board members for supporting our efforts in what we do and standing with us and backing us. And we're just thankful today to receive this proclamation from the city and all that we do together. Let's continue to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving to our next agenda item, we'll hear from our very own city manager, Mr. Bill Burrow, for the city manager's report. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. In light of a very heavy agenda, I'm going to be brief. There are a couple of things I do want to bring your attention to. As usual, I'm going to start off welcoming some of our new hires. Jonathan Hollier in our wastewater lift station, Andra Randolph in solid waste in our administration offices there, Talia Metcalf, Police Communications, Ethan Bettis in Utilities, and Adam Tyler in our Utility Billing Systems Meter Maintenance. Want to just welcome all 5 of those new employees and welcome them into the City of Hot Springs family. As you just mentioned in the proclamation, we are recognizing Juneteenth as a city holiday. All City Hot Springs offices and departments, except for public safety, the Hot Springs Memorial Field Airport, and our Community Resource Center will be closed on June the 19th in observance of Juneteenth holiday. Solid Waste Department, residential route collections, that includes recycling, leaf and mulch collections. All of those services will run 1 day behind. If your service day was Thursday, it'll be Friday, and Friday will be ran on Saturday. Intercity transit services, buses and paratransit, they will run their regular schedule, but the transportation depot will be closed, as well as the compost facility will also be closed. So that'll be a city holiday, except for those services I just mentioned. Want to recognize our engineering department and our utilities department. The utilities director, Monty Ledbetter, engineering project manager, Todd Pillar, Christ Engineers president, Matt Dunn, and Michaels Corporation, their trenchless president, Matt Smith. They all recently attended the American Council of Engineering Companies National Engineering Excellence Gala in Washington, D.C. This was a red carpet tuxedo event. They were there to receive the 2025 National Engineering Excellence Award for the Lake Ouachita Blakely Mountain Tunnel Lake Tap and Intake Project. Really a prestigious honor It's a tremendous recognition for the city's commitment to innovation and infrastructure excellence. We had great partners in Kristen Michaels in that endeavor, as well as our own engineering department and utilities. But very proud of that award. Got to see some of the pictures of the gala, and I know it was appreciated by all of those that have worked on that project, as well as the city. Our 2024 sidewalk improvement projects, those sidewalk projects are about 70% complete. We've installed about 5,500 feet of 5-foot wide sidewalks. Areas that receive sidewalk improvements include Alpine, Bell, Civic, Exchange, Laurel, Oaklawn, Olive, Opera, Palm, Spring, and Valley Streets, as well as Central Avenue downtown. We had, I think, several crosswalks that we repurposed down there. They were milled up during the latest paving. We came back and have placed red brick type crosswalks there. If you've been downtown, you've seen those. There's still a couple of areas we're going to come back and lay those particular crosswalks, but all of those also had new ADA accessible ramps installed throughout our downtown. So really appreciate those that have worked on those projects. That's a lot of sidewalks. We're about, like I said, 70% complete. We'll be bringing the 2025 plan to the board as well. Paving, our paving program is about 75% complete, our 2025 program. So that'll be coming to an end here very soon with the millings and the paving they're doing. We'll be bringing soon a 2026 list as we develop that to the board. On July 29th, the city's Planning and Development Department will host a second informational session to discuss how property owners can apply for the Paul Bruin Historic Revitalization Grant. This grant is administered by the National Park Service, but it provides funding to support the development of affordable housing in historic structures and historic buildings. This session will take place at 6 p.m. at the Garland County Library, located at 1427 Malvern Avenue on July the 29th. And Mayor, I'll end with that.
Very good. Thank you very much. Moving on to Board of Directors announcements of upcoming events. To Directors, Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I received a request to make an announcement from some organizations that have an event beginning tomorrow. The Harry Belafonte documentary will be presented at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening at the Arkansas School of Math, Science, and Arts, and that's at 200 Whittington Avenue. And that's the documentary following Harry reflects the last 12 years of his life on his quest to uncover young activists working passionately to change the social justice landscape. And organizations sponsoring this are the Gateway Community Association, the Hot Springs NAACP, and on both of their Facebook pages is information about reservations. And also sponsoring it is the Hot Springs Documentary Film Institute, and the same information is available on their website at hsdifi.org. So that's at 6 o'clock tomorrow at the Arkansas School of Math, Science, and Arts. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Director Webb.
Thank you, Mayor. The first event is the Spa City Classic Indoor Pickleball Championships. That's coming up June 26th through the 29th. Be held each day 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Hot Springs Convention Center, 134 Convention Boulevard. At this event, you can come watch a seasoned pro or a rising star. The event offers thrilling competition and a fantastic atmosphere. And I'm looking at you, Lance. Are you in this tournament?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If your answer was yes, I was going to ask you, would you fall into the category of a seasoned pro or a rising star? So again, that's the Spa City Classic Indoor Pickleball Championship. And then the second is this Saturday, we've got another arena football. The Wise Guys taking on the Lunkers. And I believe I brought this up at our previous board meeting, and I was confused as to what Lunkers meant. And I appreciate you, Mayor, for being there to share with me that that refers to some type of fish.
It's a
So-
big one.
A big fish, so the wise guys are going to catch some fish this weekend. That's this Saturday of June 21st, 6 p.m., again, at the Hot Springs Convention Center. You can go to hotspringswiseguys.com to get tickets. More information. Thank you.
Very good. Any other announcements? Director Holliday.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Just want to remind everybody that our 7th annual Pride Parade will happen on June 28th, and this is our first annual Pride Festival that will be right after that. So we'll meet at 11 a.m. at Grateful Head on Exchange Street. The walk starts at 11:30 and continues till about noon, where we'll end at 500 Quapaw. So from noon to 5 is the festival. It's free, family friendly, definitely going to be a lot of fun. We're also excited this year, we're partnering with the Hot Springs Documentary Film Institute, and at 7 p.m. that evening, they're going to show a free film screening, a double feature. One is Tippy and Barb, which is a local short. It's a documentary about State Representative Tippy McCullough, and also the PBS documentary of Stonewall Uprising. And again, that will take place at 7 p.m. at the Clubhouse at 118 Arbor. So please feel free to come and join us. If marching down the street's not your thing, you can always just wave and smile and cheer us on as we walk by. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Bridge Street Live.
Dobbs Smith. Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to say
No one's
that.
mentioned Bridge Street Live. It's Thursday night. It's always fun. Unfortunately, I think most of us will be at the Municipal League. It's also Juneteenth. It's not fun, but we'll have to miss that. But it's a good thing for anyone who does want to go out. Bridge Street starts at 5.
Funky Town is playing.
Funky Town, good band.
So next
right.
week, will MC Hammer make an appearance?
And the time.
Very good. Any other announcements? Hearing none, we'll move right into the consent agenda. These are of a routine nature. I do not merit individual discussion. So at this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Director Garcia, seconded by
Second.
Director Holliday. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. The consent agenda is adopted. We have a number of items on new business. We'll begin with consideration of Resolution R-25-120 and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-120, a resolution awarding a bid to Shields and Associates for the terminal building and air traffic control tower improvements at the Hot Springs Memorial Field Airport. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by Director Garcia. And our staff report will be provided by our airport director, Mr. Don Roulette. Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This resolution is for the bid approval of the terminal building improvements. This is in reference to the FAA bipartisan infrastructure law grant for terminals and control tower that Hot Springs received in December, up to an amount of $1.4 million. It's a 95-5 split between the FAA and local. There had been two bidders for the project. Shields and Associates provided the lowest bid at $713,273, plus an additive alternative of $108,900 for a total cost of $822 and $173. Sorry about that. The other bid was a total of $890,000. Contingent to the award of the FAA grant, staff recommends that the contract be awarded to Shields and Associates for the terminal improvement for that total bid of $822,173. A previous Garver work order was also approved for $263,000 on this project, and that was for administrative designing, bid packages, construction administrative services, and closeout. This added to the total bid. The total project is $1,085,173. $173. There will need to be a budget adjustment from the airport fund to cover the 5% match of $54,259. This local amount should be eligible also for the reimbursement from the Arkansas Division of Aeronautics after the project is completed.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Don, the reimbursement, are you meaning that's going to be for the 5% cost share
Yes, sir.
when the project is done?
Yes.
When do you foresee this project being completed, if passed?
We're anticipated to begin in early 2026. We still, we go through the process to get the materials and all that. And then it's set for 120 days
Okay.
to complete.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Hey, Mayor.
Oh, Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. You did say that this was going to offset some expenditures. Is it going to mess any current track that the airport is on with this offset of the budget of 54, the 5% cost share?
No, sir, that would come out of the fund balance.
Okay.
Initially.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Holliday?
Aye.
Beard?
Aye.
Dobbs Smith?
Aye.
Webb?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Trustee?
Aye.
Mayor McCabe?
Aye. Moving on to consider resolution R-25-121. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Second. So moved.
I got Director Trustee, seconded by Director Webb, and to read by title only.
Resolution R-25-121, a resolution authorizing out-of-state travel to Washington, D.C. for Directors Phyllis Beard and Steve Trusty, as required by Hot Springs Code, Section 2-1-5, and for participation in the Chamber of Commerce fly-in. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion, second to adopt.
Motion to adopt. Director Garcia, seconded by Director Webb. And Mr. Bill Burrow will provide a staff report.
Think so.
While we're waiting, Mayor, I would like to announce that my granddaughter was just born since
Congratulations.
since our meeting began, weighing in at a hefty 5 pounds 15 ounces. Lorelei. Just wanted to make that announcement. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Grandpa.
Again.
Mama B.
So, Mayor, we've got the out-of-state travel for Director Beard and Director Trustee. This will be part of the Chamber fly-in that has not happened in the last few years. They're resurrecting that fly-in with our congressional delegation. As you know, we have a code that requires all out-of-state travel to be subject to the availability of funds as well as approval by the entire board. So we have before you a resolution approving out-of-state travel for Director Beard and Director Trustee to travel to Washington, D.C. as part of the Chamber of Commerce fly-in on September 8th through the 10th.
All right, any questions of Mr. Burrow? Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to withdraw my name. I had something come up, so I would like to withdraw. Thank you.
All right. So do we need to amend the resolution?
Yes.
Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. With this announcement, Director Dobbs Smith did have her name in the hat. Are you wanting to put your name back in the hat?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, so the process would be to entertain a motion to make an amendment? Or?
Make an amendment to Section 1 by deleting the name Director Phyllis Beard from consideration.
I so move to amend.
A motion to amend, seconded by
Second.
Director Trustee. All in favor of the motion and second to amend, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Amendment is approved. Now we want to Entertain a motion to approve as amended.
Well,
Is that the process?
you're on the floor as amended now.
Okay.
Are there any further amendments, or are there others that are interested in going?
Just call the roll.
No,
And she
sorry,
had a
I have a
question.
question. Sorry. I know that we've been doing pre-travel reports, and I was just curious if we had a ballpark that I'm missing on this as to what, I know you had said that the chamber has a fixed cost, but can you remind me of where that's landing?
So the cost of the trip through the chamber is $1,200, and that does not include the flight, so $1,200 plus flight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Anybody sign up to speak?
No, sir.
Any further discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. We'll move on to consider Resolution R-25-122 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-122, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 108 Best Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, second by Director Trustee, and our staff report will be provided by Mike Scott, Chief Building Official. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. 108 Bess, we are proposing condemnation for the purpose of repairing a vacant single-family residential structure at 108 Bess. The owner on record is Bernadine Harden of Rogers, Arkansas, which was confirmed by a limited title search conducted by Hot Springs Title Company. In the case of this structure, should the board decide to proceed with the condemnation, the city would request bids for contractors to remove the damaged and collapsing carport roof. Included any damaged rafters, replace all decking and roofing, and all soffit and fascia. All repair costs and administrative fees would then result in a lien placed on the property with the Garland County Circuit Clerk's Office in the same manner as when a condemned house is raised and removed. It was the intention of the Planning Department to bring this property before the board at its March 18th meeting. However, when we were unable to perfect notification, we sent the copies of the file to the attorney ad litem on April 3rd, and all notifications of the proceedings were handled by the Office of Schnipper, Britton, and Stobaugh. In addition, responses to the city's Facebook post request information from Mrs. Harden and her family resulted in a conversation between Neighborhood Services Manager James Hardage and the grandson of Mrs. Harden. Mr. Harden explained that Mrs. Harden had passed away and the family is unable to change the name on the property. Mr. Hardage explained the intentions of this condemnation is now not to raise and remove the structure, but to remove the dilapidated carport and making any other necessary repairs to the roof, resulting in a structure that is both safer to the public and more attractive to any potential buyers. It was also explained to Mr. Harden that the repairs would result in a lien that would be paid in full anytime, that could be paid in full anytime following the filing with the courthouse. Due to the extent of the deterioration, the inability or unwillingness of the property owner to make any repairs or stabilize, staff is requesting the structure be condemned for the purpose of making the necessary repairs to stabilize the structure.
Any questions of Mike? Director Holliday?
Thank you. So this is a little different for us. So the questions I have is about the very end of the packet. It talks about if it's condemned, we would not undertake repair until after the auction, but it would be, the information's available to the purchaser. So a purchaser would buy this not knowing what that potential lien would be because the work has not been done? Is that correct? Or would they would know at the time of the auction what that additional lien amount would be?
We would go ahead and repair it now. After the 30 days appeal period, we would be putting it out for bid if y'all condemn it tonight, and we'd be prepared to move forward after the 30-day appeal period, just as we would on a raise and remove.
Okay, well, Then maybe it was a misprint. It says specifically, if condemned, the city would not undertake repair work until after the auction date.
No, I think that's an error.
That's an
Okay,
error.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
what I was confused
Yeah,
about.
good catch, because
Okay.
I didn't catch that myself. I didn't see that.
Okay, so the work would be done, the lien would be booked, and so whoever,
Yes, ma'am.
Buys
Just
it,
like
we'll know what's going on.
condemnation,
Okay.
the 30-day appeal period.
that works. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any additional questions of Mike? Thank you.
Mhm.
Did we have anybody sign up to speak?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Dobbs Smith,
Aye.
Webb,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Trustee,
Aye.
Holliday,
Aye.
Beard,
No.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. At this time, we'll consider Resolution R-25-123 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-123, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 122 Gardner Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion, second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by Director Webb. And again, Mr. Mike Scott, Chief Building Official, will provide the staff report.
Thank you. We propose condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant single-structure family residential at 122 Gardner Street. This property is located in District 3 and is owned by Danny Roy McDonald, whose last known address was Quapaw Care and Rehab Center on Brighton Terrace in Hot Springs. The taxes are delinquent in the amount of $1,387.97, with the property certified to the state in 2021 and is scheduled to be auctioned in 2026. Responses to the city's post requested information regarding Mr. McDonald or his family confirmed that Mr. McDonald is deceased and he left no known heirs. In February of 2024, following the complaints about the condition of the house and property, Neighborhood Services issued notices to comply to Mr. McDonald requesting that violations to the property maintenance code be removed. Violations included in the notice were damaged and missing roofing, soffit and fascia damage, and missing windows, and fallen trees, limbs on the property. A follow-up notice was issued in January of 2025. Also at that time, a limited title search was requested to determine any additional owners. When it was determined that Mr. McDonald was the only legal owner of the property, a copy of the file was given to the attorney ad litem. The structure was, the structure poses a public health and safety risk. The structure has been inspected and deemed unsafe for habitation because of extensive structural and foundation damage due to the extent of deterioration and the death of the property owner and the lack of known heirs. We have no other reasonable alternative than to have the structure raised and removed.
Any questions of Mike on this item? Anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Webb,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Trustee,
Aye.
Holliday,
Aye.
Beard,
Aye.
Dobbs Smith,
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. Moving on to consider Resolution R-25-124. I ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-124, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 302 Lincoln Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt. So moved. Director Trustee, second by Director Garcia. And again, Mike
Thank you.
Scott will provide the staff report.
The City of Hot Springs proposes condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant single-family residential structure at 302 Lincoln Street. This is a single-family structure which is located in District 2 and was damaged by a fire in September of 2024. County records show that the property is owned by the late Mr. Denver Woodfork and Mr. Tommy Woodfork. The taxes on this property are delinquent in the amount of $1,284.87 and has been certified to the state since 2021 and is scheduled to be auctioned in 2026. It was our intention to bring this property before the board on May 6th. However, when we were unable to perfect notification to the owner, we sent a copy of the file to the attorney ad litem. and on April 3rd, and all notifications of these proceedings were handled by the Office of Schnipper, Britton, and Stovall. In addition, responses to the city's Facebook post requesting information confirmed that Mr. Denver Woodfork is deceased and that Mr. Tommy Woodfork is the owner of the property. The structure was inspected and deemed unsafe for habitation because of extensive structural and foundation damage caused by the fire. Due to the extent of the deterioration, inability or unwillingness of the property owner to make the repairs to stabilize, and having no reasonable alternative, the structure should be raised and removed.
Any questions of Mike? Thank you. Anybody? We do have one individual who signed up to speak, and Mr. Tommy Woodfork, please come forward and restate your name, address, and district, please.
Tommy Woodfork, address 211 Blake Street, district number 2.
Please provide us your views on this resolution.
Well, I tried to help solve this issue by going to get a permit to help demolish it to save the city some money, but I was denied because they said that I had a lien or had a previous fine against another property, so I was denied to actually move forward in demolishing the house myself. But I guess the city is trying to do it on their own and use their money, but why would they have to use their money when I was already willing to demolish the house myself?
So do we have Brian, do we have a program in place that if there's a outstanding lien or citation that permits won't be issued?
Well, we do. What may complicate it a little bit more, Mr. Woodfork, I want to be clear on this. Denver and Tommy Sr. were your parents?
Yes.
Okay, so both of them are deceased and an estate was established by Mr. Terry Diggs, a local attorney who passed away some time ago as well. The property was never transferred over to your name. The estate stalled, for lack of a better word. It never was completed. And so I was unaware that you had an issue with another lien on other property, but the problem is issuing a permit to anyone other than the legal title holder presents a problem. Again, similar to a circumstance that we had recently on Garden Street, until the property is in your name, you're not able to get that permit. We certainly would want to help, assist, cooperate in any way that we could. I know that the board would want to do that, but that's where we are.
So what I need to do then, since Mr. Diggs passed away?
Yes, he did.
I'm saying, what do I need to do since he passed away and didn't finish the?
I don't know if anyone took up his practice or not. Did you ever meet with Mr. Diggs? Do you remember being a part of this? I believe it was Joy Barron. She
was a PO at the time.
Yeah, she became the personal representative of your parents' estate.
Right.
She might be able to move forward with getting that estate wrapped up so that the property can be passed on to you.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at the probate document now. It shows that you are the sole heir. So it shouldn't be that difficult to get that completed and put in your name.
Okay.
So no action would be taken for 30 days as far as any removal, demolition. So you'd have a goodly amount of time there to hopefully clear up the file.
Okay.
Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. B, I guess this is a question more directed to you. For what this gentleman needs to do to get the property in his name, is 30 days enough time? Would it not be better for the board to table this and bring it back at another meeting?
You could table. The notice has been completed through the attorney at latum process. This is a good example of the new step that we're putting in there with the social media. Mr. Woodfork was able to learn about this circumstance and contact the city to make contact and try to work on this. You certainly could.
I make that motion to table.
For how long? 60 days?
60 days.
So let's just say 4 meetings.
Correct.
So it'd come back in the 5th meeting?
Yes.
All right.
And I second.
Got a motion and a second to table for 4 meetings, and the item will return to the 5th meeting from today. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's tabled. The item is tabled. So you have 60 days, sir, to try to get this wrapped up, and the 5th meeting from today will be, we'll address this again.
Sounds good.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you. I'm good to go. All right, appreciate y'all.
Pardon?
Would
Mike?
this, prevent him from getting a building permit? We have 9 other liens. I don't know, I didn't realize his dad's name was Tommy also, but these liens are in Denver in Tommy's name.
In the parents' names.
I have 9 other liens in their name.
Okay.
On different properties, Perry Street and East Grand.
Okay. We'll work on those.
Some of those are mowings. One of them's a demo on Perry Street.
We'll work on those over
Okay.
the course of the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And find a resolution
Okay.
to those.
That'll work.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Woodfork.
At this time, we'll consider Resolution R-25-125 and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-125, a resolution awarding a bid to Boyles Construction, Inc. for the construction of Schedule 1 of the Spring Street Gravity Sewer Improvement Project. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Garcia, and our staff report will be provided by Joey Stadler, Engineering Assistant Utilities Project Manager. You can't get that on a nameplate, can you?
No, you can't. Brian, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
At this time, staff recommends awarding the bid received on May 12th to Boyles Construction of Perrin, Arkansas for Schedule 1 of the Spring Street Gravity Sewer Project, as designed by Hawkins Weir, in the amount of $3,155,462.70. This is part of ADEQ's Consent Administrative Order, CAO LIS 22-077. It begins at Burnell Street, which is off of Spring Street, continues north to Highway 70 near the Coleman Rock Shop. This project consists of approximately 1,400 feet of 15-inch PVC pipe, 1,100 feet of 16-inch HDPE pipe, and 2,600 feet of 18-inch pipe in corresponding manholes. The bid form consisted of 3 alternates, 1, 2, and 3. 2 bids for Schedule 1 were received and evaluated. These responses were for Diamond Construction and Boyles Construction. Boyles was the lowest bidder and was $743,652.30 lower in price than Diamond. There is a certified bid tab in your packet, as well as a letter of recommendation. This project will be funded by the board-approved 2025 wastewater bonds.
Any questions of Joey? Okay, no questions. Do we have anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. And this is really a question for Joey. I'm sorry I missed that. How long is this project? This first schedule?
Once we get all the bonding and information insurance back, Schedule 1 is 210 days.
210.
Schedule 2 is 90 days.
Okay.
And Schedule 3 is 130 days.
Okay. And if that was in there, I missed it. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any additional questions or discussion?
Just to follow up on that, will those be concurrent or will they be consecutive schedules?
They will be concurrent with Schedule 1 and then Schedule 2 and 3. Those will be concurrent.
So we'll take all that time.
Right.
All right. There be no further questions. Please call the roll.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday. Aye. Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Moving on to consider Resolution R-25-126. Ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-126, a resolution awarding a bid to Diamond Construction, Inc. for construction of Schedules 2 and 3 of the Spring Street Gravity Sewer Improvement Project. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt,
So
Director
moved.
Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. And again, Joey Stadler will provide the staff report.
Thank you again. Staff recommends the award of the bids received May 12, 2025 to Diamond Construction of North Little Rock for Schedules 2 and 3 of the Spring Street Gravity Sewer Project. This award shall be for the total of 2 and 3 in the amount of $890,725 and $2,817,960 respectively. This project again is part of ADEQ's consent administrative order. It begins south of Highway 70 near East Granite Avenue and continues north to the north side of Gulfa Campground. This project consists of approximately 2,000 feet of open-cut 15-inch PVC pipe, 290 feet of 24-inch encased jack and bore, 1,000 feet of pipe burst 16-inch, and 70 feet of 20-inch aerial crossing. The bid forms consisted of 3 alternates, 1, 2, and 3. Diamond was the only responsive bidders for Schedule 2 and 3, with a grand total of $3,708,685. Diamond was selected based upon certified bid tabs, and there's a letter of recommendation in your packet. That's it.
Any questions of Joey on this item?
Joey, I heard you mention open cut. Is this the one that you negotiated with the Highway Department?
Not yet, not on this one. So that was Gulfa Phase 1.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments for Joey? Thank you. Anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll consider Resolution R-25-127. I ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-127, a resolution awarding a bid to K-Jax Contractors, Inc. for the construction of the Davidson Drive wastewater treatment plant 54-inch outfall and Lake Catherine diffuser. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by
Second.
Director Holliday. And Mr. Todd Pillar, Engineering Project Manager, will provide the staff report. Welcome.
Thank you and good evening. This is for our new 54-inch outfall from the back end of Davidson Drive wastewater plant down to Lake Catherine, and then the diffuser that is in Lake Catherine. Our existing one is 36-inch reinforced concrete pipe, and we're replacing it with a 54-inch fiberglass pipe matched for the water flows that come from Davidson Drive. K-Jax Contractors was the low responsive bidder, and we need to get this under contract so we can coordinate with Energy on their lake drawdown starting November 1st. And their total was $5,775,000, and it will come from the board approved 2025 wastewater fund.
Any questions of Mr. Todd? Director Garcia?
Thank you. I was just curious because in the bid tabulation, the steel pipe pricing between this company, is less than half of the other bidder. They already got a lock on the steel, or they've got that price locked in. I mean, that's a big difference.
Yeah, Director Garcia, they have the 54-inch is fiberglass that goes from the Davidson Drive wastewater plant down to the lake, but we're putting in 54-inch ductile iron in the lake just for protection.
But is there, I don't understand why the price, the other company's price was more than twice as high. We're not going to see change orders come because they put too low a price on that.
No, ma'am.
Okay. It's fixed. for this. Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yeah, see how much it
Anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. This time we'll consider Resolution R-25-128 and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-128, a resolution awarding a contract to RJN Group, Inc. for the sanitary sewer evaluation survey for the gravity sewer collection system. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by?
Second.
Director Webb. And again, our staff report will be provided by Todd Pillar. Welcome.
Yeah, this sanitary, they call it a survey, but it's really a study. For our CAO permit for the Gulf of Basin, and they will look at 8 different basins that actually feed into the Gulf Interceptor and let us know where we need to do repairs or upgrades or replacements. It's a pretty extensive process. They'll inspect manholes, smoke testing, dye in the water, cleaning, circuit, TV services, flow monitoring, rain gauges. They'll do all the project administration, the data management, analysis, and give us reports of what we need to do. And their not to exceed contract amount is $1,554,900. And just as a note, in our 2025 wastewater bond fund, we had budgeted $1,565,000 for this project. And of course, it will come out of the 2025 wastewater bond fund.
Okay, any questions of Todd on this? Okay. No one signed up?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. The resolution is adopted. At this time, we'll consider Resolution R-25-129, and I ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-25-129, a resolution approving a purchase of a 100-foot aerial tower platform from Pierce Manufacturing, Inc., pursuant to the Cooperative Purchasing Program through Sourcewell. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So
Director Webb, seconded by Director Garcia. And again, our Hot Springs Fire Chief, Ed Davis, will provide the staff report. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, directors. So Hot Springs Fire Department wishes to replace its current 100-foot aerial platform, also known as Truck 10, manufactured in 2001 by Ferrera Fire Apparatus. We propose to replace this truck with a Pierce 100-foot TAC-4 T3 rear steer aerial tower platform. Although the proposed apparatus is superior to our current Truck 10 in several ways, because the turntable is mounted in the middle of the chassis, it will have a lower center of gravity. Because the rear wheels turn in a manner similar to our current tiller, Truck 5, it will be considerably more maneuverable. 2 people can set up the proposed Pierce aerial tower. 3 people are needed to set up our current unit. The proposed aerial tower platform will have a 510 horsepower diesel engine and a custom Pierce chassis designed specifically to host an aerial tower. To facilitate this purchase in the shortest time frame possible, Pierce Manufacturing has a stock list production program that allows buyers to purchase fire apparatus manufactured for direct sale to their dealers. These units are ready for delivery in about 6 to 8 months from purchase date. Published date rather, compared to the 40 months wait time that we are currently facing. This apparatus will meet or exceed the set of specifications that the apparatus committee has assembled. Stock does not mean base. The stock list apparatus is usually based on the most popular options specified over the past year. As previously stated, we can still use Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program for this purchase. The stock list is published at the first of every month, and these ladder trucks go very fast. It's first come, first served. So we need a signed proposal with approved budget not to exceed $2,300,000 for the truck and the equipment. The cost of the apparatus will not exceed the $2,300,000 the Board of Directors allocated for this purchase in the 2025 capital budget.
Any questions of Chief Davis on this resolution?
Director Garcia had a question about the disposition of the apparatus. Obviously, it will be a surplus piece of equipment, and that will be at the pleasure of the board to decide how it's disposed of.
Very good. Any questions of the board? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, this stock list, the units that you've seen recently, do they have on those the things that you want?
Actually, it will probably be better than what we specified.
Okay.
What we specified was some of the cheaper alternatives, especially like the cab and things like this. So there's a really good chance that we will actually get a better chassis and get more features on the apparatus than what we actually specified. It will not be below the level of our specifications, but it can exceed it, and it won't exceed that $2,300,000 that we've committed.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, no one signed up?
No, sir.
No. Discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Dobbs-Smith?
Aye.
Webb?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Trustee?
Aye.
Holliday?
Aye.
Beard?
Aye.
Mayor McCabe?
Aye. Resolution adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance O-25-28. And I'll entertain a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved.
Director Dobbs-Smith, seconded by Director Webb. I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-25-28, an ordinance awarding an exclusive franchise agreement to LifeNet, Inc. for the provision of medical emergency and non-emergency ambulance services and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Garcia, seconded by Director Webb. And again, our Chief Ed Davis, Hot Springs Fire Department.
On November 19th, 2024, the City of Hot Springs issued a request for proposals for ambulance services. 4 contractors responded to the city's request: Pafford Medical Services, Survival Flight EMS, Southern Paramedic Services, and LifeNet, Inc. The proposals were reviewed, rated, and ranked by a selection committee. After completing the process of vendor evaluation, the committee members scored each of the respondents in 5 categories: qualifications and experience, proposed method of service, capability and availability, cost, and if the respondent was a disadvantaged women or minority-owned business. After the scores were compiled, the prospective vendors were ranked in the following order: Number 1, Survival Flight EMS; Number 2, LifeNet, Inc.; Number 3, Pafford Medical Services; and Number 4, Southern Paramedic Service. On April 1st, 2025, the Board of Directors considered Ordinance O-2520, an ordinance awarding an exclusive franchise agreement to Survival Flight EMS, LLC, for the provision of emergency medical services and non-emergency services, and for other purposes. The ordinance did not receive enough votes to pass. Therefore, staff began negotiations with the next highest-rated vendor, LifeNet, Inc. LifeNet, Inc. has been a community stakeholder in Hot Springs for 20 years, operating both ground and air medical ambulance services. LifeNet and the city have reached an operational agreement that would grant the ambulance franchise to LifeNet for an additional 5-year term. The EMS franchise holder is self-sustaining and receives no city funding. Therefore, there is no adverse financial impact to the city of Hot Springs by awarding the franchise agreement to LifeNet Incorporated.
Any questions of Chief Davis? Director Garcia?
I don't know if these are questions for the chief, but in the, regarding information in the agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I can answer that.
Where it talks about the complaint investigation and response time measurements, is that information that will periodically be shared with the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on the community outreach section about training, how is where's the contact information for organizations or anyone to contact for that training and presentations?
Well, we will allow our franchise holder-elect to come up here and answer that question for
Okay.
you.
Please come forward and introduce yourself and your position with the organization.
Hi, my name is Alicia Haley, and I'm the CEO at LifeNet. Good evening, directors. It's nice to see you all again today. I have great news. We actually hired a public relations and marketing director or coordinator for this area, and she started today, as a matter of fact. And so her name is Taylor Baker. So she will be a contact for any events that we want set up and trainings. So I will forward that information to the city manager and the fire chief, and then we will get that disseminated out to you all. So you can email and let us know, because we want to provide those, any information, any community events that we want to be involved in. You guys want us to be involved in, just let us know.
Okay. Since she's there, may I ask a?
Please continue.
Okay. Our population is a lot less than the number of people that are in the city at any given point in time. From 1,000, more than the population could be out at Oaklawn. We have conference hears and convention all year long with thousands across the street at our convention center and other places in town, even at the event center in Oaklawn and other hotels. Do you receive, or will you be receiving information that shows these special events, so you're aware of a large number of people at the convention center or other places in the city?
Yes, ma'am. When we met with the city manager and the mayor, we discussed being aware of what events go on in the city so we could staff appropriately with the ones that have more people than normal, and to work with the city, to visit City of Hot Springs to see what's going on. And so we're looking forward to getting that list from those individuals or from the city's office.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure whether this question would go to Chief or Brian, one of the two, but I'm looking at, it's page 92 overall of the packet, which is 16 of what was submitted for this particular agenda item, and it has to do with section 7, which is membership of the Emergency Review Board. There's 7 positions here. Would anything prohibit a city director for serving on this board?
Well, in matter of yes, it would, because you're the one that's authorizing the agreement yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so any kind of issues that come up per se with, and I'm not saying there's going to be any, but if we've got some inquiry, questions, concerns, or whatever, we can shoot it right to Bill,
Right.
city manager,
Right.
because he is one of the positions on the board.
That's right.
Okay, and then I'm not sure whether this was in this section or a different one, but I've got it flagged like the meetings for this particular board. I think it staggers itself over like 4 to 6 times per year, something along those lines, with the end being in March. Does that sound right? And if, yeah, so if that's the case, in March or April, can that annual report that the review board comes up with come back to this board to be reviewed and any type of questions come up? I'm not seeing where that was said specifically in this agreement, and if it's missing from this agreement, I want to add that, if we can.
Yeah, the city manager will provide the board with an executive summary of all reports.
Would that be for every meeting or just for the annual report?
We can do an executive summary on both, really. I
Okay.
mean, as we have those meetings, I think it's important to communicate that back to the board, so, executive summary would not be any issue for us to provide that to the board.
Okay, would that need to be amended into this, or?
LifeNet provides a yearly report on their activities to the city, and that usually goes out, in February of each year? Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, they've always been good about self-reporting.
When they issue those reports to the city, that becomes a public document. You
Right.
don't, I mean.
Fair enough.
Anyone's entitled to that, certainly the board.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Any additional questions or, Ms. Haley, don't go quite yet. Any other comments or questions? and this may be for Chief as well. About a week ago, it was announced by Levi Hospital through a press release that they were going to discontinue hospital operations effective August 1st. They provide a vital service of inpatient psychiatric care, which now means that those general adult patients needing inpatient psychiatric care will be having to be transported to another provider, which is going to be outside our community. The service level within the franchise agreement calls for 5 state licensed paramedic level units, and 1 advanced life support helicopter. And how is this going to be accomplished, and is this going to fall on LifeNet to transport, or does Pafford get involved in this? I know there's a lot of discussions going on right now, and
so what the incumbent has proposed is they're not just 5 ALS units. They've proposed 2 BLS units, and you're still going to operate the van that. Yeah, they use a van basically to transport psychiatric patients to different facilities. So there will actually be 3 different means of transporting psychiatric patients without touching the advanced life support ambulances. And you have to remember that the area of operation for LifeNet is now just the incorporated limits of the city of Hot Springs. They no longer have responsibility for Garland County. So they will not be having to send their units out on long, lengthy runs, which sometimes didn't even bring about a transport. So I think that in many instances, you will see a higher level of service, and I do think that you'll have the availability of quite a few units.
Yes. So in our other service areas, we have behavioral health transport vans. We call them BHT vans, and we do not have a facility that we transport in the city, so we take those out. But we, as Chief mentioned, we do use other means to do that. So we would staff up and make sure that we adhere to the city compliance of the units that we need in here, and that would just be additional for those transports.
I know we had a lot of discussion in the past regarding the ability to free up the emergency rooms of people, getting patients to the next provider of care. I think Director Webb used the term wall time, which is, I guess, is definitely a healthcare term. So I just see this all backing up.
Sure.
Big time.
Sure.
And patients will not receive the care in the timely manner of just going across town versus going to Russellville. So you'll have a unit out of service for 5 hours, 4.5 hours. Even if you go to Benton or Little Rock, it's going to be a couple hours.
Yes,
So depending on how the timing of people presenting to the area emergency rooms, an emergency medical condition being determined that requires inpatient psychiatric care, things are going to back up.
Yes, sir. It's going to take a collaborative effort between us and the hospitals, and scheduling the ones that we can schedule and making sure that we have the resources available to do that, and just looking at the data that we have, what's the movement of the patients and staffing for that like we do now. And we do it in our other service areas too, so this is not brand new to us.
Okay. Any other additional questions?
We had several meetings with LifeNet and the hospitals and city staff. Really appreciate the commitment that everyone made to those meetings and candid discussions. This was not really something that was discussed because we didn't know the news about Levi at the time. How do you become involved in a behavioral health transport situation? Are you contracted by the area hospital? Law enforcement? What's the?
We usually are contracted with the hospital, and so that's a service that we provide to them to move those patients if they go by van transport. If it's a normal medical transport, that works normal like it does with anyone else, any other ailment that they have. And so it's generally with the hospital who we have that with. Sometimes we'll have them with the outpatient hospitals that we have in our other service areas, but it's generally contracted with another healthcare facility.
Let me ask you this question. A patient presents themselves to an area emergency room, and they do need inpatient psychiatric services. There's going to be a transport. I think I alluded to this earlier. Since the two acute care hospitals are in the city limits, does LifeNet by default have responsibility to transport, or if they have a home address in the county outside the city limits, does Pafford get involved? Or do you guys coordinate that?
Sometimes we coordinate it if it's going to another service area. If they have a member, if they have a membership with the other agency for transportation, sometimes we coordinate if they're going back to their home area there. Most of the time we take them. Sometimes we let them come and take them. It just depends. But we work together. And we're working on a mutual aid agreement right now with them.
Mayor, Judge Mahoney and I had a really good conversation with LifeNet regarding the transports. Currently, they operate one van. They're probably going to see the need to operate two.
Probably so.
We had a conference call today that the CEO of CHI St. Vincent's had orchestrated, and we had both Judge Mahoney and myself on the line, as well as both hospital administrators, their emergency department physicians, as well as Pafford and LifeNet. So, there is a collaborative group, at least speaking. That was kind of the initial phone call. So there is a concern with both of our medical centers that are still in operation. And I foresee that we're going to have many more of those type conversations, trying to work this through for the best of our community. But it is going to be a strain
Sure.
on both hospitals as well as both providers.
But we are in agreement that any contractual commitment that you make to any hospital, whether it's in Hot Springs or otherwise, does not affect your responsibilities under the franchise agreement. You have to meet. You have
That's
to
correct.
meet those
It's a
requirements.
separate agreement with the hospitals. Yes.
Okay, any additional questions? Hearing none. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Have anybody sign up?
No, sir.
Discussion amongst directors? Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian, what major changes or enhancements between this agreement and the previous agreement? Is there a summary, or Chief, is there a summary of what this one does that the other one didn't, the other one did that this one doesn't?
Yep. So that's a great question, actually. So one of the things that we did in the process of constructing this agreement was we changed the number of ALS ambulances that would be available inside the city limits. We moved it from 4 to 5. Yeah. And so one of the other things that we did was, because we had some issues to where that there had been some long response times in some very public areas, is we changed the response criteria. In other words, we set that 5% of the ALS runs could actually be handled by a BLS unit. In other words, a basic life support unit, because any unit is better than no unit. Getting someone to the hospital in 10 minutes or 15 minutes time is better than a 30-minute response time. And so we decided to adjust the contract in a manner to where that it would reduce the occurrence of those long runs. Now, and I have to say this, and I've been a very vociferous critic of LifeNet, right? They've never exceeded their 90%. In other words, they have a margin to where that on ALS calls that they can miss 10% of those calls and not make the response time requirement 9 minutes, 59 minutes. All right. And so one of the things we wanted to do is we did not want to see those type of incidents occur in places that are important to the economy of Hot Springs, downtown Hot Springs, those other places, around Oaklawn, that kind of thing. So we actually put a license in there for them to be able to send a BLS unit for a small fraction of the runs where it would be over 30 minutes, or beyond 10 minutes and 59 seconds, right? So one of the things we want to do, as I said before, is just to eliminate those 30-minute responses, and I think this will help to do that. But they have always met their response time criteria. Those late runs have always been in that 10% that they are allowed by contract. Does that answer your question? Those are the biggest changes. I mean, there is some verbiage change in here that we cleaned up. I mean, there are always some things when you look back at something in retrospect after 5 years and you go, why in the world did we put that in there? But those are minor things. In many cases, they were, really just restructuring a sentence at the same. And the city attorney may have something.
And one of the biggest changes is bringing back the membership of the committee and being able to have these meetings and being able to talk about any of the issues that we have. We kind of got into a point of just not having great communication, I think. I think that led to some of it. But I think this will allow us to all discuss those issues as they're happening, make some changes before it gets to the point to where there's an issue. And I will say that since we have been going through this process, LifeNet has been very, very good to work with. We've had some great meetings and appreciate them just coming back to the table and trying to work out all of these issues with us.
But since the submission of the first draft that you considered and did not approve, the expansion of the review board itself has gone from 5 to 7 to include an emergency room physician from each hospital to be on that review board as well.
Okay. That's not going to be an issue getting those emergency room physicians to a meeting? Or their designee. Now, that's for the administrator.
That's for the administrator. The administrator will see to it that a physician that emergency room physician is there.
Okay. And you have the authority to send a designee to this committee meeting as well?
And so the dates are already set for these meetings.
Okay.
They're calendared.
Okay. Not anticipating any issues, but the cancellation agreement, Section 9, any changes there? Anything major? Again, I just didn't have the previous contract to compare to.
You're right. I didn't include a red line version of the old one. I apologize for that.
No, that's okay.
Sometimes that causes more confusion than it helps, but no, nothing there that would be of any concern.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Director Beard.
Thank you, Mayor. Just so I'm clear, Director Trustee just asked about the changes, and then it looks like you answered the question maybe for what LifeNet should have answered. Is my mic still on? Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. And then you said that, I don't remember your exact words, but you were not a fan. I kind of feel like you were maybe putting your personal thoughts into what's happening, but the board voted on keeping LifeNet. So my question is, did you want to add anything about the changes? Because I felt like you answered the question for her.
No, I meant no disrespect towards anyone on that. I just wanted you to know that LifeNet had lived up to their contract in that way, and that I didn't have any qualms with them, and I don't have any qualms with the board's decision. I'm going to act under y'all's authority and do the things that I'm supposed to do, and I'll treat them well. In the process, though, of trying to find a vendor, it is my obligation to tell you the truth, and it's my obligation to tell you what I think is best. It is your obligation to determine what is best, and I will fall under your authority once you determine that, and I've always done that.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. We've had several meetings with the committee to go through line by line what we would like to see in the contract and what the city would like to see in the contract. So we had ample time to review that, and the requests that clarifications were answered that we would want to operate under. So we agree with the contract and are happy with the way they are now. So thank you for asking that.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Very good. Thank you. No one signed up to speak. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Webb?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Trustee?
Aye.
Holliday?
Aye.
Beard?
Aye.
Dobbs Smith?
Aye.
Mayor McCabe?
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Moving on to Board of Directors items for discussion. Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I had some thank yous and shout outs to share. First of all, I wanted to thank Todd Pillar and Cody and Chase for the fantastic tour of our new water plant. It's amazing. It was so educational, informative. Hot Springs is going to be the showcase of water plants in this part of the country, not just in Arkansas. Also to Robin White in Neighborhood Services, a resident contacted me and about an issue and was referred to Neighborhood Services, and Robin helped him out, and he called back and wanted to make sure she received that recognition. And finally, we had a great tour of our Hot Springs Community Resource Center. It's amazing what all has been accomplished there since acquiring that building, and now with Chris, the director, and what is taking place with the partner agencies and everyone that's involved with that, and what is yet to come. I'm very grateful that we have that resource here, and want to thank Chris for arranging that tour for the board. Thank you.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple of thank yous myself, and then I've got something to share with the board that's coming from residents, and I think I'm having that technical issue too. Maybe it's, okay. Couple of things to share with the board from residents in my district. The first is I want to thank Ms. Sheila and other city staff for yesterday allowing me to have my two children inside of the board chambers, Annabelle and Dudley the fourth. My two got a kick of just seeing everything here. It wasn't the initial time that they've been here, but with it all empty and being able to sit in a chair, they just found it so fascinating being in this space. So fascinating that they chose to do a debate over an agenda item, sitting in these chairs, and the topic was who should cook supper at night. Should it be the parents or should it be the children? And they had a lengthy debate over that issue, and the vote was split 1-1. One for parents and one for children, and for various different reasons. So thank you, Ms. Sheila, for making that experience available to my two children. Also, we did kind of stop at the planning department too, so I appreciate planning stop, just to look and see where all the different offices are for planning department, and in that process got to look at some old maps of the city. So I appreciate our planning department for having that little piece of history available to see even to this day. I think a few of the maps that we got to see were from the early 1900s, and the breakdown of the different zones and stuff for Hot Springs. It looked a lot different then than it does now. So, and I was very pleased to know that both Annabelle and Dudley knew what a map is. You know, that isn't that common today. You know, I can recall being my kid's age, and that's how we got everywhere, is we would purchase, a road atlas to get everywhere. Now everything's right here. You type in Google Map or whatever to get there. And then I want to thank the Sentinel Record for also giving my two children a little tour of that facility. That was really nice to see what all the different paper divisions are that go into our very own Hot Springs newspaper each day. Annabelle and Dudley found that fascinating as well, so thank you to Sentinel Record. I'm not sure, and I will follow Director Garcia in saying thanks for the tour this evening for the Resource Center, and I want to share I guess a bit of information for high school students who are looking to get community service hours completed prior to graduation. I think the number's at 75 that have to be completed between 9th and 12th grade in order to graduate. And one of those options is spending time at the Resource Center. Chris was sharing with us today that there are many opportunities for high school students to clip out some of those community service hours at the community center. So take him up on that offer. You know, if you're out there and you're a high school student, or if you're a parent of a child that's in high school looking for a way to get some of those community service hours, that is a great way to do it. And then the last is the issue, and I'm going to speak in a delicate way sharing this issue because there may be some reasons as to why it is what it is now, but I do want to share with the board these concerns or questions from residents in District 4, and it's over the Cali Ridge subdivision. And I also want to request timely feedback from city staff just as soon as it's available for these questions, which I'll get to in just a minute. For those that are unfamiliar with this location, Cali Ridge project is due east or parallel to Birchwood Bay Road. The development was approved by the Planning Commission and then passed by this board in February of '24 by a 4-3 vote. About 5 to 6 months later, I might be off a little bit on that timeline, but Hope Construction broke ground there, began working. It's 25 acres, farmland, trees, and so forth, all cleared up. Lots of extreme dirt work took place to include massive cuts, digs, rock hauling, dumping, etc., all taking place. Today, that 25 acres stands barren. Lots of holes left, piles of trees in places, stacks of boulders misplaced, piles of rocks in multiple areas, pipes kind of scattered around. A few of those are functioning to some degree, and then others just sit there. And this is a borderline definition of neighborhood blight. And so there's some pictures that I have that I can share with city staff as well. But the residents' concerns stem over the obvious blight issue, but then also stormwater, potential flooding, dirt and silt draining into the lake. Those kind of issues are coming up. So the development site here has been inactive for at least 120 days, maybe a little over that 120 days. And according to the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, also known as SWPPP, for construction activity for large construction sites, the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, this was the permit number ARR 150000, which was submitted by Hope Consulting and Todd Haven in November 23. There are many stormwater controls to be in place which address stabilization, erosion, sediment controls, litter, construction debris, construction chemicals, and so forth. So I want to focus just on stabilization and practices starting on page 4 at section B. This is what was submitted to the Planning Commission, and it's item 4. And let me pull that up. This section of that agreement states that stabilization procedures will be initiated 14 days after construction activity temporarily ceases on a portion of that site. They're well over 120 days going on, and that's stabilization practices. That's going to be, let's see, section B, item 4 from page 4, and section 5. Section 5, 1 and 2. Oh, let me go down. That is moving to page 7 now, and this has to do with inspections, and that's going to be coming from section L. Every 7 calendar days within 24 hours of the end of a storm event of ½ inch or greater, they should have an inspection. Inspections should be completed. The forms should be kept with the SWPPP. ADEQ's inspection form will be used. That's boxes checked. Inspection records will be retained as part of this agreement for at least 3 years from the date of termination. It is understood that the following sections describe waivers of site inspection requirements. All applicant documentation requirements will be followed in accordance with the reference section. Winter conditions, that's 1, and then number 2 is adverse weather conditions. So the questions I have based on what I've shared with you so far are you, number 1, are you aware if any stormwater stabilization inspections have taken place at this large construction site, being Cali Ridge? Number 2, do you have any inspection reports? And if you don't, can you share with me how to obtain those and assist if needed? Number 3, what are the consequences if no inspection reports are on file, given that they are well over 120 days of inactivity? And then the last question, at what point can the city, state, energy, whoever step in to say, hey, something needs to happen here to advance the development? And you can get back to me later if you need to.
If you'll leave me a copy of that, then we'll follow up on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just forward that if you don't mind, yeah.
Any additional items for discussion? Director Garcia?
Just to piggyback on that, because there's a stalled development in District 5 that we've had conversations about, and stormwater and engineering have been out there a number of times. But the question has come up, when a permit is issued, how long is that permit good before it expires? Because this is, the one I'm talking about, it's been not 120 days, it's in years now.
Is that Wayward?
At the 5 Points area. And when does the permit, if it doesn't expire, get pulled so that the appropriate actions, because they have gone back to the owner for remediation because of stormwater issues and other fire burning, a number of issues.
If you want to add another one to that, you can go ahead and add Airport Road and Weston Road. Director Webb, that was a 4-3 vote. I was on the short end of that. And it was supposed to be a convenient gas station, convenience store. They scalped the bank down. You got about a 40-foot high bank or greater of dirt. And I actually called Bill the other day about, it's hard to see traffic coming from the east because of the grass was so high right there next to the highway. And I said, I don't know if that's this highway department's responsibility, but there was a silk fence there too to catch mud or debris that was coming off because of the storm events, whatnot. And so that's been there maybe better part of a year now or more. So yeah, we have a number of projects that have been delayed. I understand financing interest rates are real high, but at the end of the day, we've got these scalped earth here, at least on some parcels. All right, Director Beard, you want to add one? Or you got a different subject?
I have a different subject, but it is a thank you. I want to thank the city manager for his prompt response of getting trees picked up on the east side of town. We've been having a lot of different kind of weather patterns. I don't know if the soil gives out or there's wind. Just this week I've seen split trees that have fallen on houses. I also saw another tree, I think it was a termite infestation, but there are so many trees here and we're just kind of at their mercy. We don't know what's strong, what's weak, what's gonna, the one tree, the lady God just must have thought she should be here a little longer, because that could have easily, if she were under the tree where it fell, it just wouldn't have been good. And the neighbor's house. So I'm just seeing a lot of trees coming down for various reasons. And is there something that could be done about that? Like if you see a tree leaning, or is that what urban forestry does? Or I don't know. It's just, it's been a lot, like in the last 7 days, where trees are kind of dangerous.
It's on private property. We can have our urban forester look at those. He actually looked at one over on Garden that does need to come down. We had several that was on another property over in, I think it was District 5, that we worked with that property owner. He brought those trees down, but it will go back to the responsibility of the property owner. But we can tell them if that tree's healthy or not.
Okay. Some of the, I don't, well, I'll just also keep sending you notes, because I don't know if the properties, there's a lot of land and on the east side where I can't tell. I mean, I don't know who owns the property or what, but you know, it's kind of like, it's like, whoa, when I saw that one on Whittington, I was like, whoa, that was scary. Okay, thank you.
Any other items for discussion? I have an item that it kind of ties back to the ambulance service earlier, but actually is much bigger than that. And that just has to deal with Levi's announcement of closing effective August 1st. You know, when I received that information via the newspaper breaking news, you know, I was really stunned by that. And given my background, I decided to make a phone call. So I made a phone call to the Division of Facility Services of the Arkansas Department of Health, because it just seemed out of character that based on what I read in the newspaper, that would lend itself to a closure. So I thought, well, there's got to be something else. And when I called, there wasn't anything else. They're fully licensed. They meet all the conditions of participation within Medicare and Medicaid. They meet all the life safety codes required of their license and their Medicare and Medicaid certification. So, and then from that call, I learned that, that the city of Hot Springs had adopted the 2021 Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, and as a result of an inspection and sometime in first half of 2023, there was some deficiency cited, and a timetable that was agreed upon to address those deficiencies. And the timetable was quite extensive. It's 5 years, and that they could do things in an appropriate manner over the course of 5 years. That I don't understand. I certainly don't have any. There may be some other situations that contributed to the decision to close beyond this, because there's still 3 years to go. I recognize that, according to the article, they've looked at, replacing the facility. They've looked at modernizing the current facility, and those activities take time, and those activities I'm certain were ongoing over this period, the first 2 years of the 5-year time frame. I can fully appreciate, updates to the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code. What I don't always understand, and perhaps there's an ability for some adjustment within the code, or the ability to how should I say, to recognize another licensing authority. If you're a healthcare institution and you're licensed by the state of Arkansas, and you meet the conditions of participation within Medicare and Medicaid, which includes the physical plan, then I don't understand why you would have to go to another level. If they're willing to recognize you as an appropriate provider of services within the facility that you're currently operating, they survey within the code at the time that you were licensed or that program was introduced and put in operation. So, I would respectfully request a review of the 2021 Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, and see if there's an opportunity for us to recognize the state licensing division, the favorable standing within the Medicare, Medicaid conditions of participation, and set aside that those codes in light of their actual continued licensure and operation in accordance with those regulatory standards, or at the minimum give them another 2 years, since they worked diligently in looking at a new campus, looking at modernizing their facility, taking 2 of the 5 years to do that, and extend that from July of 2028 to July 1 of 2030. We cannot be without that inpatient psychiatric unit. I'm telling you, we cannot be without that program. That is it may be a smaller program. It may not be on the front page of the newspaper each and every day, but it is vital. It's a vital component to our overall healthcare system within Hot Springs. As we addressed earlier, transports out of town take just short of, it's going to be 4 hours, even if you go to Little Rock and back. The wait time in the ER to get an ambulance transport there, the backing up, the ability to get the next patient in to that emergency room unit for their care. There may be other extenuating circumstances beyond the facility. That may be what was published. There may be some other issues there. It may be a physician manpower issue. It may be some other matter. I did talk to another healthcare executive in town here today to make sure that what's called the Medicaid upper payment limit hasn't been modified or curtailed or reduced, and they assured me that had not been. That is a very favorable additional reimbursement to hospitals that all Arkansas hospitals participate in. I was just trying to think through what are the factors that would lead an organization that's been here for 110 years to say, oh, well, we're going to close August 1. And if it has anything to do with the physical structure, I think we need to address that. Yes, they still have 3 more years, but if they felt, well, we're not going to meet it in 3 years, do we just close today? I don't know. I'm not a party to those discussions. And like I said, there may be additional reasoning that wasn't highlighted in the announcement. But I think we need to do our part to try to keep that organization viable and functional, even if it's in that structure. The patient care area of that organization, the overnight area, is not the 1914 structure. The 1914 structure is the easternmost structure. It houses offices, and it is appropriate for outpatient services. But the overnight structures is a much newer structure than than what the article said cited as 1914 structure. So, Bill, if you can work with the chief and Brian, if there's any ability on our part to, at a minimum, extend the time, give them that 2 years back that they were looking at other options, or at a maximum, recognize that they are licensed by the Division of Facility Services and hold an appropriate certificate with Medicare and Medicaid and meet all the conditions of participation of the federal government. We'll look at that. Thank you. Any additional items for discussion? Yes, Director Garcia.
Just to add to that, I heard from residents at Levi Towers, and that the cafeteria at the hospital is the only place they can walk to, and they go get their lunch and bring what they don't eat, they bring back, and that's their dinner that night. And they are very concerned about, because they can economically get their meals from the cafeteria there, and they're very concerned. So this would help with the people that are housed in Levi Towers as well. I support your comments.
Thank you. Any additional items for discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to
I just wanted to thank you for reaching out, because I've had quite a few people call me as well, and I hope we can get a resolution to this. I think it's an important part of our community, the mental health aspect, as well as the physical therapy, and the only heated pool that has the thermal waters in it.
We do have public comment immediately following this meeting. Director,
If there are no further comments, I move to adjourn.
you got a motion to adjourn, seconded by Director Trustee. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. We are adjourned, but stay close to your chair.